Hi, this is Rita West with a ramblings from Tats to Tits and some surprising stuff in between.
Ramblings with Robin. I like it.
Yes.
Rita and Robin's Ramblings. I love it.
There you go. And today I have four-time world champion?
Yeah,
Four-time world champion arm wrestler, Robin Marie Chandler. And we're going to chat today for a little while. Actually, this is the first time I've actually talked to you, like voice to voice. we
I know, right? Real
messenger. So you're in your truck, right? You drive a truck?
Yeah, I'm in Iowa right now.
Huh?
It was snowing a little bit.
So I mean, obviously I see your hands aren't on the wheel, so you're not driving right now. Or you just like pulled off to the side for right now?
Oh, no, I'm parked for the night.
Oh, okay. Okay, cool.
Yeah, I got my sweats on. I'm ready to call it a day after this.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. How often do you have to drive? Is this like an everyday thing?
Yeah, every day. I usually like to drive, I don't know, 500 miles a day. Sometimes it'll be 600 miles.
Oh, wow. Do you, what do you do for the gym? Do you just find like gyms that you're passing through?
No, I've never been in the gym.
Oh, okay. So how do you
I work out in the truck. I work out in the truck. I have bands and stuff. So.
Oh, so that's all you really do for the arm wrestling training is the bands?
Yeah, the best thing to do is on the table time, you know, in tournaments and practices and stuff like that. That's really the best way.
Oh.
Where you got to be hands-on, quite literally, you know.
Yeah. Interesting. Okay. Is there a particular place that's like your favorite place to go practice that? Like, is there a certain area that has a good table?
Well, I've been doing it for about 15 years, and I first started doing it with one of the best guys in the world, Todd Hutchins, and he was living in Utah at the time, Salt Lake City, and I would go over there twice a week when I was living in Idaho, and we trained at his house, and that was probably when I was at my peak. The older I got, I've just kind of, you know, I just kind of show up, you know.
And how old are you?
51.
51.
How old are you?
Huh? I'm 48.
48. Until we're close.
I'll be 48 Monday, actually. I keep saying I'm 48, but.
Oh, hey, it's pretty close. Well, happy early 48.
Yeah. Woohoo.
Yeah.
So Robin has lots of tattoos too. That's why I picked that for the title.
Yeah, quite a few. They go everywhere.
Yeah. Right. You're just like, oh, yep, there's some down there.
Yeah, I got them pretty much everywhere.
Yeah.
I was in a taxi cab ride one time. This crazy Indian son of a bitch, he says to me, have you got tattoos everywhere? I said, what the hell are you talking about? He says, you know, down there. I says, I don't have any tattoos down there. I said, just drive your cab. I said,
Right?
don't worry about what I get for tattoos. You crazy bastard.
People come up with the weirdest questions, I swear.
I know, right? Yeah.
Pointless. So one of the interesting things that I wanted to talk about today is so Robin is a transgender arm wrestler, and I wanted us to have a little talk about that. How now you were telling me that they actually changed some of that you helped like form some of the rules on how that gets handled in the arm wrestling, right?
Actually, in the rules there for the world championship. Yeah. The
Uh,
Robin rule. That's what I call it.
the Robin rule.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I know that we talked and we can talk about whatever we wanted. I know that the reason that I'm bringing it up, and like I had said to you, is that one of the actually right now, because I think it was mostly because of the swimmer that I've been seeing it, or, you know, I mean, I see things about transgenders in sports here and there.
Yeah, in the news everywhere.
Yeah. But it's in the front of my mind lately because of the swimmer, I think. But
it's in everybody's mind, and that's on purpose, I think.
On purpose, you think? Oh, how come? What do you mean?
Well, I think they want it to be in front of everybody. It's just like Laurel Hubbard, that was the weightlifter. When she went to the Olympics, it was first, you know, everybody was talking about her, and then she got like fifth place. And then I had a little dog. And then, wasn't entertaining for her. And then Leah Thomas, whatever her name is, she was the next in line, and so she's the hot topic of the day or the week or whatever you want to say. So
Gotcha.
just how people are, And like anything in the news, sometimes it's bullet points, they kind of take a little from here and they don't really lie, but they kind of lead you on to think one thing or another.
Oh, absolutely. And that's true about everything. I mean, not just this topic, everything in the news. That's why I don't even watch the news. I mean, I don't know if you can actually picture this in your head, but I don't know what's going on in the world because I don't watch the news.
My friend says I'm the same way. I don't watch it either because it's depressing.
But the reason why I was bringing it up though is because being that I've noticed it a lot. One of the things that I don't like is how hateful people, no matter what your opinion, whoever opinion on what side on how this should be handled, people are very hateful about it, and that I don't like. There's no need for it. And so I thought when you came to me, I thought that it would be a very cool thing to be able to have two people on that and show people that, this it doesn't have to be a hateful conversation,
Right. Exactly.
But
no wonder though. Some of the stuff I've been through, I ain't a hateful person, but I'm not.
And I realize that because I have my own things that I go through with being a muscular female, that I get some weird stuff too, but I realize that it's
muscular. I never even noticed. I thought you had a couple tattoos.
Just a little.
Rheta West, and it says Rheta West. I don't know who that is. Not in my way. You talk about people that don't pay attention to the news. I didn't know who the hell you was. So.
Exactly. I tell powerlifters all the time too, they all get in an uproar about certain things. That's like, listen, we actually make up a very small percentage of the population.
We're all in the world, yeah. I'm wrestling world, powerlifting world, whatever it is. It's a community,
Yeah. Now, I know, so, and I had talked to you about that. I personally am of the opinion that people should be competing in the gender that they were born in. Now, the reason why is actually purely biological. It's just, and we were talking, and we'll talk about that too, about like what it actually takes to go through to get on the same, to get on that level to like be eligible or whatever. But in my opinion, you grew up with testosterone in your body. So there's certain things that regardless of like strength level or test level or whatever right now, there's certain benefits that you get from having that in your body.
Oh, of course. I mean, even you know that because you're on some of the, what I'm talking about.
Right. No, absolutely. And by that, and that's a good example because even for as much as I take a lot, well, not right now, but I have, but I still will never be as strong as a man. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter if I'm taking the same.
That's correct. You won't be as strong as a man your age, your size.
What? My age? What?
Your age, your size. I say this because my doctor, when I was trying to get the rules passed for me to compete in the women's class, there's a reason why they have age categories and weight categories, right? So I says, Doc, am I going to have an advantage over these other girls? He said, well, some girl that's 4'3", 100 pounds, of course you're going to have an advantage. He says, once you had your surgery, which I have, and you've had at least 2 years to get that testosterone out of your system and help, because once that's gone, then the estrogen can really go to work. He says, you're going to be about the same as a woman your age and your size.
Mm-hmm.
So it takes a good while after you've had surgery to get that stuff out. Now, it's all over the map, whether, it's the same level playing field, but I think it's as level as they can get it, or as fair as they can get it. Now, some genetic women will have a super big hand, right? With hands and arm wrestling is a big advantage. And then some genetic men growing up have real small hands. Right. So I think you have to have a happy medium, and it ain't going to make everybody happy. And that's where the Olympic Committee came up with their process. But I think the Olympic Committee's process is flawed, if you want to know. I don't think that's fair.
Yeah, you were telling me now. I know you when you were talking about the basketball. Is the Olympic people the same way? Is there like level for what the test is? Is that at 10 too or something?
Yeah. So I don't know what. Say if you're a genetic female and you're competing in a sport that's tested, right? I know if you show too much testosterone, you're going to flag the test and then you're going to fail it, right?
Right.
Now, I know for a transgender woman, it's 10, uh, whatever that's called, millijoules or whatever, the milliliters.
Yeah, I don't remember what it's called.
It's free testosterone. It's in the blood testosterone,
Yes.
right? So it's not total.
Right.
But after surgery, and I've only got 1.5. Average women, well, even my age, once you go through menopause, you produce more testosterone. But most generally, average women, they have anywhere from 0 to 3 kilograms of testosterone. And like I said, I only got 1.5. I mean, you
Yeah.
still produce a little bit from your thyroid glands and stuff like that.
So,
I don't do very much at all.
huh?
I don't have much at all. And I notice it affects me now because I'm not able to recover. When I train hard, I
Yeah.
injure myself and I just can't heal, you know. And people think when you take testosterone or steroids that it makes you super strong. From what I've gained, it allows you to heal faster so you can train harder.
Yes, and it does have properties of both, definitely. Um,
But
so
that's your world, so you would be able to tell me about that.
yeah. I mean, I would take like a small, like a super small. It depends on how much you're taking. You would take more if you're trying to get strength benefits out of it, but even a little bit will give you some strength benefits, but that small amount, it does like leaps and bounds for recovery. Um,
And I heard women suck that stuff up like fresh paint on a dried fence because their body's not used to taking it. Or a man is used to having that testosterone all the time.
I don't think that's really the case so much as like there's receptors and I really don't know all the exact like I'm not going to be able to use all the right words and sound super intelligent about it, but it has to do with the receptors. And so let's just say anybody, female or male, is taking they're taking a gram a week or something like that, right? Their receptors are getting all clogged. The receptors are getting all clogged up and their free testosterone might only actually be 600, where somebody could be taking only 250 milligrams, but because they weren't taking anything before, the receptors aren't clear or aren't clogged up, they're absorbing more of it. And so that could send their free testosterone up to 700. You know what I mean?
Oh, what do you mean total testosterone, not free?
Well, what is actually absorbed by the receptors, and so then I don't know the exact terminology, but what's actually absorbed, and that's why people really need to, like, if they are taking, male or female, if they're taking anything, they really need to actually come off so that they can let their body kind of like clear out and do its own
They
thing.
should be under a doctor's care. I would have.
Well, yeah.
That I didn't know.
It's unfortunately that's just not going to happen because it's, first of all, it's not legal, and it's not it's not at the level that people take it for, strength gains and stuff. It is not well researched, or the doctors don't know what's going on with that.
Are you worried, Rheta, that they're going to have long-term effects for your body?
Well, I mean, what you should be doing is keeping an eye on like your blood work and things like cholesterol and blood pressure and that kind of thing. I mean, people have been taking steroids. People have been taking too many steroids for a long time, so it's not like, no, we already know we're not going to grow a third arm from it or anything, but so it's just, making sure that you keep yourself at a level and you take it responsibly, and make sure that what you can have a doctor keeping an eye on is is all the health things like your blood work and all. So how long? So have you always did you ever wrestle as a arm wrestle as a man, or have you always been a female? For wrestling?
But I wrestled in the men's class before I had surgery, but I was still on the testosterone suppressant. That's how I know that, and that's how I know that it's not fair to should have the surgery, and that's the fair you're going to make it. Because I was still beating dudes when I only had 90. My total testosterone was 90, and I was still whipping through the dudes. But as soon as I as soon as I had the surgery and I waited 2 years, I'm struggling, man. I'm getting a lot of second and thirds in the women's class. But hey, you know what? You can't have your cake and eat it too. There was one time that because I'm so competitive, there was one time that I was like, man, I want to win so bad. Maybe I should start taking steroids again. And I'm like, you freaking fool! You just went through all this crap to get rid of that shit, and you want to put it in you? And I'm like, oh, what the hell was I thinking? But it did go through my head because I'm competitive.
Well, sure, yeah, and anyone that at the top or wants to be at the top, you want to take any advantage you can. Yeah. What was I just asking? It's interesting that you say that, because I would say that, I would say that because when I talk about the benefits of testosterone in your body beforehand, and I realize that you're saying that testosterone's low and everything, but I guess I'm thinking about the fact that, muscle development was happening earlier on at an age. And so let's just say I came off. I will probably never, ever be, I would assume, but listening to you, that doesn't sound like that would be true, but I would assume that I would still never be as weak as another woman who never took anything in the first place, and so that's what I kind of like related to.
Say, what about another woman that never took anything but worked out as hard as you did? It's apples and apples, you know what I mean?
They never took anything but what?
So if you come off the stuff, right, you said, well, would I be as weak as another woman, right? So another woman would have to be your age, your size, and worked out as you did your whole life. Because the steroids alone don't make you strong. It's the hard work.
Absolutely, but they do.
It's
they do make it easier to gain strength and muscle, and they do kind of enhance the rate at which you. And then there's the whole bone and all that kind of thing. Stronger bones or whatever, which comes from lifting heavy too. And I'm not saying it's just testosterone, because just lifting heavy will make your bones stronger. So, so I'm just talking about, things that
any athlete is going to have thicker bone density than the same person that didn't work out. That's just the way it is. But there hasn't been enough study to know about the
exactly.
We don't know. We're just kind of guessing.
So I guess what would be interesting then is, well, I say interesting, but I guess then what that makes me wonder is like when you're dealing with younger people, even as young as like maybe high school even, but I'm thinking more of like, early college or whatever, when you're at a time in your life when you're not really sure that, I was going to say, when you're not sure if that's the choice that you want to make, that you want to stick with the choice, or if that's really what you want to do, or that you really feel that you trust your not instincts, but that you're not judgment either, but like say I think that I'm a man, but I think that I should have, I feel like I'm supposed to be a woman, but they don't trust that or whatever. Anyway, when they're not ready to make that, to commit to the decision to
why that is because when we're younger growing up, right? So I always knew that I was a woman from, I don't know, 5 years old. But the part where I was going back, do I want to do this? I don't want to do this. What's growing up in the 70s? Can I make it work? Am I going to get made fun of? At no point in that did I think I wasn't a woman. It's just like, am I going to be a freak? Make fun of my whole life. Do I want to deal with that? And that person that you and I was talking about, they're kind of going through some of that stuff. It's all right, man. It really is. I think in their heart that they are, and they feel like they're a woman. But unfortunately, a lot of the decisions that that person has made through their life are making it to transition and pass very, very difficult. So I don't know. I mean, I really feel for that person a lot.
Yes. And just so you know, Jan, she's talking about Janae, and because Janae has always been a good friend of mine, even since when she was Matt. And so we were talking about Janae because I guess she's really the only other transgender woman that I've actually known at least closely and sat and talked with, and she lets me ask her all kinds of questions, and she's honest with me with her answers. And you're right, I think she does have a difficult time. I mean, she talks about how she grew up in a very manly environment. She was a Marine, she was a top power lifter, bodybuilder, and she had a couple of sons, and wasn't actually ready to come out when she came out. I mean, I guess I never really knew about it, but I'd heard that people knew about it. But she was kind of forced to come out. And so she has done a lot, though. She's done a lot to both kind of like educate people, but also I think that a lot of the decisions that she makes right now is based on kind of like feeling it out. Now she is out and she's out in the world doing those things. And so like we had talked about the whole, sometimes just doing your day like a guy and sometimes doing it like a woman. And I really don't think that it should be that way. But I
because
think
you don't progress unless you're all in, either one way or the other.
Right. And I definitely think she's all in, but I think that she's dealing with like just kind of like feeling things out and doing what's comfortable for her and what seems to, but so I guess what I'm talking about with the kids though is that it's you think about like when they're that young and they don't know yet whether or not they want to commit, or don't know if they're going to commit, about like a young college a young college student wanting to participate in sports, but not ready to make that full change. Like you were saying that you should have that to make it fair, you should have the surgery. And so
and wait the time. So I mean, you can't even get the surgery legally till you're 18. Then you wait 2 years, you're already out of high school. So I feel bad for the young kids in high school, but I think that's the fair way of it.
Yeah, no, I agree. And and like you said before, you're never going to make everybody happy.
No.
And I think that unfortunately, I think a lot of decisions are made not purely based on, trying to be fair to everyone, or, but that a lot of it has to do with, I mean, nowadays and it's not just this topic, all kinds of topics. Nowadays, everyone's very concerned with like, sensitivities and things like that. And so I think that sometimes, like as far as like with kids or whatever, maybe it's like you said, okay, I'm trying to tiptoe around things. What I'm saying is like if you're a kid, it's like, okay, I'm sorry, I know you don't want to do this, but I wish I was 6 foot tall so I could play basketball and I can't. So you got to deal with what you got until you're old enough to do what you got to do to make it different.
Well, I think that it's fine if they want to take their hormone suppression and transition to their new gender, but I don't think you should start the sports thing.
Yeah,
because
that's all I'm talking about is the sports.
Yeah, over the years, when you transition, you give up some of the rights that you had before, some of the things you took for granted. You can't have your cake and eat it too. It's just the way it is, and that's just how it is. That's life, man. It's reality. So I wish I was 5'2" and weighed 100 pounds, but I'm 5'9", weigh 220. So what are you gonna do?
So let's see. The only other female arm wrestler I know is Michelle Dugan, and you've actually competed with her a few times, you said, right?
Oh gosh, yeah, she beats me more times than I can. I did manage to scrape a couple wins off her finally, but yeah.
Her and her husband, very nice people. They're actually from here in the area, and I see them often. And
they're sweet. I like them awful. They both have been sicker than a dog. They're finally starting to feel a little bit better. So.
Yeah. When is your next competition?
Well, I just had a competition in, where the hell was I? I was at the Arnold's. I got third. Was you over there?
I had a booth.
Yeah. Next year I'll come see you. But yeah, so I got third place this year at the Arnold's. Randy Couture is a sweetheart. I always see him up there, and he always comes up and hands out the awards. So they had this big trophy for first, and I'm like, man, I need that in my office, right? Yeah, well, somebody else needed it more than me because I got the old bronzo medal, third place. But my next competition, I think, is going to be at James and Michelle's event, Keystone States, June 18th or something.
18th, yeah. That one I can't go to. I was actually just talking to James yesterday, and I can't get to that one because I'm holding a women's meet here in the gym. But I will be at the contest. They have one in August that I'm going to set up a booth at, and then they'll be at the fairgrounds. I'm going to set a booth up at that one too in September.
Oh yeah, that match that I have the video footage of, that was Michelle and I at the New York State Fair back in 19. Yeah, I was supposed to compete against the 8-time world champion, but she couldn't make it. So Michelle stepped up, And
Ah.
I said, hey, cool, man. I didn't know any of them before, right? I never met them. And I said, all right, I'm coming. And well, you see how that went. Not so good for me. The black scorpion bit me on my ass, and I was done.
Well, and you know, now that you mentioned that too, it just popped into my head. You guys aren't anywhere near weight class. Is there weight classes?
Yeah, and I'm fatter than fat, and she's not. So that even made it sting even worse, man.
Oh,
She's
okay.
like,
So she just stepped in anyway, huh?
she's still with my butt.
Oh, geez.
And I'm like, hey, I bow down to you. It took me, I think we've competed like 10 times, and I've got one win on it.
Well, say, hey.
I'm always like, I can win my class if Michelle don't enter it. Kind of how it is. I did get her in an overall in Long Island, New York, so that was cool.
Okay.
You know what the overall is? The winners from all your divisions go up, and it's lightest to heaviest. So I won the heavyweight, of course.
Uh-huh.
And then all the other lighter women come up and try to beat me.
Yeah.
Whoever, the last one that wins gets the trophy.
So that one would typically would usually be the heavier person would win, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, if you've got 3 or 4 people, you got to compete before you get to the smaller one, like a firecracker like Michelle. It ain't always the case.
Yeah. True. So so now you're so driving the truck there, are your tattoos from like all over the place? Do you kind of like collect tattoos? Or do you have
Well,
like a certain place you go?
Well, I got most of them up in Maine. I live up in Maine, so I got most of them pre-transition. But I've gotten a
Oh,
few
really?
transition. So one time I thought, I'm very sporadic, right? So one time I thought it would be cool. I wanted to get a tramp stamp, right? I'm like, man, I mean, every woman's got to have a tramp stamp, right? So I see this tattoo place. I pull my truck over. I don't even remember what state I was in. And I go in there, and the guy's like, hey, and I'm like, hey, I need biker bitch on the back of me, And he's like, what the? I'm like, great idea. So I hope I never go to prison or anything, because that would be great. But yeah, so I got the biker bitch back there. I got a big FTW on my stomach, And then I got who's next for competing,
Yeah, that's cool. I like that.
Yeah, and then I got live to full for arm wrestling.
Okay.
I ain't got no more room over here.
No.
Yeah, I got a story about my chest over here. I had the guy that used to do my tattoos. He had an eyeball underneath his armpit, right?
Oh, that's
And
interesting.
yeah, he's like, you gotta get an eyeball. I'm like, you're on friggin' drugs, dude. I ain't getting no eyeball, and certainly ain't getting nothing in the armpit.
Yeah.
So somehow, after a lot of beer, we decided that I had a demon sitting in a mason jar on a bunch of eyeballs, that it would be a good idea to put it on my left chest. And I'm like, hey, man, let's just do it. It seems like a good idea. I mean, after a lot of drinking, it did.
Yeah.
So I finally got eyeballs, but not on my armpit. Not in my armpit.
Yeah, I think one of my tattoos, I think, goes like a little bit into my armpit. That was pretty painful.
Yeah, I got one that comes down to here, but that's about as far as it goes. Yeah.
The head one did not hurt. Everyone asked me about that. The head tattoo did not hurt as much as I expected it to. I've seen big ass bald men sitting in the chair, sweating their fucking face off with getting their heads tattooed, and I was going, "Oh my god, this is gonna hurt so bad," and it did not hurt that bad.
I'm laying in the chair getting this big. I mean, it's literally FTW. Can you see it?
Yep, there it is.
So there's this broad beside me, and literally the size of a dime tattoo on her stomach, and she's losing her mind. And I'm like, what the heck? I'm like, maybe this ain't for you, I said.
Right?
Oh, but I got to be honest, though. After the end of it, you're alive, sitting in there with the old gun, zip, zip, zip. Yeah, I was like, I'm pretty sure I don't want any more tattoos down on the stomach area.
I did hear the belly was sensitive. Yeah.
Yeah. No, thank you. Yeah, and you never want to get your nipples pierced after you get a tattoo. I wouldn't recommend it. Your nipples pierced after you do the tattoo. So that day that I got the outline done, I thought it was alcohol again, right?
Right.
Nipples pierced. That's a hell of a good idea. Oh, no. Them babies didn't stay in very long. I'm just, these people that do all the piercings and all that, I'm like, man, I'm bowing down to you because I don't enjoy paying that much.
I used to, like, for some reason, whenever I would get like I don't know, not depressed as much, but like in a, like whatever, some sort of mood, I would either get a new purse, cut my hair, or get something pierced. And it always just made me feel better. I'm not into pain. I don't even start, okay, because I'm not into pain. But but it did, you know, it just, I don't know, it made me feel better to go get something pierced. I had like 3 in my tongue at one time. I've had tons of piercings, but I
Not
think
for
most
me.
of them are out now though.
Yeah. So I noticed you've gone down on your hands. See, there's a couple pieces of real estate that I don't want to commit to, like my neck or my hands.
Yeah.
'Cause at some point, I can still look like a normal person, you know, if I put enough clothes on.
Right. The hands hurt, first of all. That is the most painful tattoos I've ever had.
I won't get any anyway, but I certainly ain't getting them now.
At least you know, like and in fact, this one, the upper knuckles don't hurt as bad as the lower knuckles. The lower knuckles, those that hurt really bad. And they don't stay either, so that you have to go back a few times before they are like done enough to stay for a while. But I purposely did, so I did my hand ones first, because I worked at Carrier Corporation. I was in software for 13 years. And I owned another gym at the time, and I went down to part-time at Carrier. And then I finally got laid off from Carrier. I was doing nothing but running the gym. And at one point I went back to Carrier just as like on a contractor type thing. They needed some help, and it gave me panic attacks. I never ever want to be in like a corporate office cubicle thing kind of type of job again.
Once you're self-employed, it's hard to go back.
Yeah,
I know.
no. But so when I got my hands done, it was kind of like my commitment to never going back to that type of job. And then I just joked that when I did,
always be a glove model.
Yeah, you could do that.
Model gloves.
Do that. I just model my muscles.
Yeah, it's probably more money in that.
Yeah. But then when I went up my neck, I joke. I mean, it's not why I did it, but I joke that it was like, all right, I'm just going to make sure that nobody, no office ever wants to hire me ever again.
Why is it that I feel a lot of people in strength sports get a lot of the tattoos?
You know what? I don't know if it's what it is, if it's just like the personality of a person is the same.
It never used to be that way in Arnold's day, right? But now,
no, yeah. Oh, well, you know, you're talking about bodybuilding. Yeah, bodybuilders, there's a lot more bodybuilders with tattoos, but like the high level bodybuilders, you don't see many of them with tattoos on them.
right.
My tattoos, they hide pretty well with the tan, but you can definitely see.
You do bodybuilding. And pardon me for not understanding, but tell me about yourself. I mean, in your sport, what do you do? Because you're jacked as Jesus right now.
Yeah, I'm in bodybuilding right now, but I was a power lifter for 14 years. So I was a high level power lifter. I've had some #1 in the world records. And but I had, you know, some injuries, and not so much my age, but just the time I put into the high level lifting kind of beat me up. And so I wanted to try the bodybuilding anyway, just to say I could do that too. And the training's easier to do. So I stuck with bodybuilding, but I still will. And I used to lift equipped. It's called equipped when you like a bench shirt or squat suit, you know, so I'll still put my equipment on every once in a while and do some powerlifting stuff. But my high level competing in powerlifting is probably done.
A lot of the hardcores think the equipped in the shirts are kind of not legit, right? I hear rambling.
Oh no, it's absolutely different. That's what I tell people is, you know, people, you can call it cheating if you want, but you can take a raw person and put a shirt on them and they're not going to just automatically lift. There's a lot that goes into it. It's a different type of lifting. You're using different muscles. It's a different form, you gotta, you're using different muscles. It's just different. And then you're only competing against other people using the same equipment. So I think that, you know, typically you'll find a lot of raw people that talk shit about equipment just because, you know, they are intimidated by equipment and they don't want there to be something else out there that says that someone's stronger than them. So they say, well, it's not real because
the same thing happens in arm wrestling.
Yeah.
So you've got what we call the professional classes, which aren't tested, right? Okay. Then you got like the Olympic level, like the world's. I won my world medals in, they're tested events, right? So, I mean, unless you think you can pass every test and you're on more juice than I don't know what, most people don't go to them. So the #1s in the world consider them events like amateur And but yeah, so I always find it ironically funny when people are like always complaining about people on steroids, but they're rooting for the top people in the world, and I'm like, they're probably taking something, you
Yes,
know.
exactly.
Yeah, I don't
Yeah,
care. The only thing is,
exactly.
if you're going to go to an event that's tested, please don't be on the stuff. And if you're going to
Absolutely.
go to an event that ain't tested, I'll compete with you. I don't care.
Right.
But I mean, kind of like the rules are the rules.
Yes.
I have to abide by the rules, and people think I'm cheating because I'm in the women's class, but I'm abiding by the rules. I done what they said so I could be there. The same should be for people that are. And honestly, if you're going to an event that's tested and you're on a lot of stuff and you win, how can you feel good about yourself?
And I don't know, it's you have to be a kind of person to be able to do something like that. And I agree with you. I'm very big about that, not only for myself, but because I coach a lot of people, and I'm very, very adamant about it. That's not even, don't even joke about things like that, around me when it comes to
Right.
like the people I train. So yeah, I agree. That's a big deal. Just play by
There's
the
plenty of
rules.
events that aren't tested, just go to them.
Yes. Yep. Yep. So how long are you on the road now?
Well, I just left the house because I sold my other over-the-road truck, and I thought I was going to go be a local driver until my mind caught up with my body and says, Robin, you ain't doing that. You're too old. So I sold that after a week, and I bought this truck that I'm in now. So I picked it up in Iowa, and I'm in the process of, I had to get it leased down with the company that I'm leased to. That took 2 weeks. And now I'm getting a few of the bugs stuff worked out of it, so I can head out probably Monday for a load. I'll probably head over to Utah and then back to Maine.
Do you like the actual traveling, or do you just like the money in your job, or do you actually like driving?
I like the lifestyle. I like it all. I like the money. I like meeting different people, and I like meeting the people that I've known for 20 years. That I might meet somebody like this girl that works at in Texas at this truck stop as a waitress, and I've known her for 15 years, and I always like to go back and see her. She's like,
Yeah.
"Oh, I ain't seen you in forever, Robin. What are you doing?" And all this. I don't know. But I like the lifestyle. I like being on the road. Wind in your hair, so to speak. So. And that's one thing I wanted to ask you about. Now, anytime I go to these big, like convention center events, right, where they have a lot of stuff, and a lot of women, and there's a lot of wigs around. I mean, a lot of that stuff they're taking is irreversible shit, man. I mean, there's a reason why most big dudes are bald, big muscle dudes. I always wondered, does that worry you? I mean, you seem to have, what, you don't shave off? Seems to be good.
No, actually, my hair is very thin. I wear a partial wig.
Yeah, I do as well. I never told anybody. I don't know why I just did, but yeah. So I wear a small, what they call a closure, because of all the years of testosterone, and I've gotten pretty good over the years, so people don't know. But hey, man, it is what it is. You can't have me take it.
Nah, yeah. No one's ever seen it. But
Yeah, me neither. And it's
but I'm
not
very
like
open about it. I'm really big on I'm very big
I'm so not open about it. I can't believe I just told everybody that's gonna
I well, good for you though.
But it's quite common, ain't it? And because I see a lot of these big girls, and I'm like, and they're like wearing a plastic wig. I'm like, can't you afford something a little bit better than that? It's kind of odd.
They are expensive, man. They're expensive.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would say anything that you're going through, you should be. I mean, of course, it depends. Not everybody's going to be like that. You're entitled to privacy or whatever. But for me, I'm very open about everything I go through, only because there's a lot of people that, I have found that if one person has a question, then it tends to be true that a lot of people have that same question. And I've done a lot of things, and I've had a lot of success, and I have people that follow me. And it's very important to me that people who aspire to do the things that I've done know exactly what to expect, exactly what's going to go into it. I don't like to be one of the people that, I don't know, uses filters or airbrushes their abs. That's just not me,
Yeah,
so,
but everything in life is a consequence. There's
yes.
a cost.
Yes, and that's what I tell people, you know, here's the steps, and at some point you got to be willing to make some choices. And here's, you know, possible outcomes from those choices, and you know, there's risks, and you have to be willing to accept those risks if you want to, you know, go beyond whatever. You know, what I say is, it's like if you want to go beyond normal, because people can do amazing shit, and they can, and you get to this place where it's really uncomfortable, but you can do it, and you know, you hang in there and you do it. But to be someone at the top, you need to go beyond that, you know, and not everybody has it in them to be able to do that.
Yeah. It takes a special kind of person to be able to push past the norm.
Yeah. But
Sounds like you're that person though.
huh? Oh yeah. I am. Yes, I am. But it's kind of just like my personality. I do it with everything in my life, you know, not just my sport. And so it's more important to me to just make sure that other people know, like the honest, you know, the honesty behind what's actually going to happen, and what to expect, and the risks involved or whatever, in anything that they do. And I'm, you know, not just a sport, but I'm also big about people knowing exactly what it takes, because I believe, you know, nothing gets handed to you. You need to, you're going to have to put some work into it. You know, those risks come, you know, it's not just risks you're taking. There's like an awful lot of like blood, sweat, and tear type work that goes into doing things too. And so I'm a big advocate of old school hard knocks. You know, if you want something, you're going to work your ass off to get it. So
what's your goals now? What do you aspirate to do now? Because I know with me, my biggest thing was, man, before I retire, I had a bucket list, right? I want to win a world title. I want to go to Poland and compete with the Europeans, and I did that, and I got third. So. But you know, I had this 15-year-old Swedish girl whooping my ass. I'm like, what in the fuck?
right.
It's smaller than me and everything. And I'm like, well, that's humbling as hell right there, you know. But I won the world titles, and I'm like, in the back of my mind, I didn't beat the best woman in the world at my weight class. I beat the best women that showed up at the world tournament. But by default, I'm a world champion. I beat everybody that showed up, right? I can't control who's coming and when coming.
Right.
But being a world champion doesn't mean you're the best in the world. It just means you're a world champion, you know? Yeah. So I don't know as I have any. I'm too old, and my body is kind of given out on me now. I got shoulder problems, and you know how it is when you're a professional athlete. I've been doing it for so many years at a high level. Your body's only going to take so much, you know. Can you, as a competitive person, stay in a sport, past your prime, and be happy, shake hands, and smile at third place? I don't know. It's a learning curve for me now, because that's where I'm at. Second and third, that's what I'm doing.
Yeah. And I kind of was, that's where I was at with powerlifting. I think I have a lot of injuries, and I was not going to be able to keep progressing. And I'm probably not that person. I'm not that, you know, and some people are, and there's nothing wrong with it. And I think that's a great thing. But having been, I mean, I was, you know, having been one of the actual top people in the world, I wasn't, you know, okay with just lifting, you know, 100 pounds less than what I could actually, you know, used to be able to lift. That's just not something I wanted to do. And with bodybuilding, I'll probably never reach the top, but I like bodybuilding for a whole, probably lot, well, maybe not a lot of different reasons, but most of what I like bodybuilding for is the suffering I go through prep. I'm not a bodybuilder at heart. You know, some people enjoy that whole process. Bodybuilders, they enjoy all that, you know, or at least to some degree. And I don't like anything about it. I will always be a powerlifter, but getting through it is something that's very, very hard for me. And I find a lot of satisfaction in, you know, like taking myself to kind of like an absolute edge and not actually jumping when I really, really want to, you know, and what I look like when I get on stage is awesome. It's just that I have a lot of like physique flaws that come from powerlifting mostly. You know, I'm bulky, like I have a huge waist, you know, I have a very wide waist because my obliques are very big, and we've been trying to like whittle that down, and it gets a little better, but it'll probably never be a top level bodybuilder.
Do you think that's from years of steroid use?
Well, I mean, the steroids made it easier to build muscle, but I lifted a lot of weight. And so the bracing against my belt, the way that I lifted, the way I pushed out against my belt, and the way, the way that I was able to hold that weight with my back, things like that, built muscle on me in a way that shaped me different. Yeah.
To hold it.
And so I'll probably never be a top level bodybuilder, but I like what I look like when I get on stage. So the outcome is kind of a win for me in a different way. And so I want to stick with that for a little bit longer. But I have wondered that myself. Like after my last show, I was like, I'm done. I'm just going to go lift and be big, and sure enough, after a couple months, I started looking forward to starting the process over again. So I really don't know how, when I'll be able to stop competing. Right now, my goal is to do it at least through my 50th year. I want to be able to be 50 and look like I did last year, which is only a couple years away. So that would be cool. But ultimately, I want to weigh over 200 pounds at 15% body fat. And so whenever I do stop competing, that's actually what I want to go towards. But this is all also, I'm also like at an age right now where things are kind of like, I could keep doing it for a few more years. I could be done tomorrow because my body could say, nope, you're done, So I'm just kind of playing around with things as they go right now. Staying at like a high weight, like going to 200, that's not going to be a healthy thing for me to do. So things like that, I don't have much more time.
You're not very tall, are you?
Huh? No, I'm 5'2".
Okay. Yeah, 200 pounds on the 5'2" is like putting 44-inch swampers on a beetle bug. It just ain't gonna work.
Yeah. I'll be monstrous. I want to be so big. People are like, oh my God, when I walk in a room.
I think they probably already like that.
I don't know.
I get that too. And I'm like, are they going, oh my God, they give you that look, right? But are they giving you the look? Are they giving me the look because I'm a badass woman? Or are they giving me the look because they can tell that's a transgender woman? I never know.
Yeah. I can't tell. I don't know. But then again, you know what? I think it's funny because a lot of guys think, not a lot of guys, people tend to say I look like a guy too. And I don't see that either. So I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. A lot of people are insecure about strong women.
Yeah.
Especially men. They're very intimidated by it.
Yeah, they are. It's funny.
Yeah.
I just stick to my own little bubble world. My people.
So now you know a second transgender woman and myself and Renee. How do you say her name?
Janae.
Okay. So now you can get a little bit of different, and you can kind of like, not everybody's the same, right?
Right. Yeah, and it's interesting, because you and I talked when we were talking the other day, some very interesting points, and it's interesting, and and that's true of everybody. I really wish people could get along better because everybody has something different to contribute, but it is interesting to hear the different opinions, because a lot of people, I cannot stand when people just let words fly out their mouth, and nobody needs to be so nasty as they are. That's just not okay. And people just let words come out their mouth when they don't know what they're talking about. And if it's your opinion, you can say it's your opinion. You have a right to your opinion, but don't walk around acting like it's fact. And social media is terrible with these memes or whatever that get created and people pass it around like it's fact. There's a lot of bullshit to have to wade through and fight against, and so yeah, I'm glad that we got to that, that you reached out to me and we got to meet and talk, because it is interesting to hear people along the same line. So like you and Janae having different, ideas or different views or, different experiences. It's I don't,
we might walk the same path, but we might have gone a different route to get there.
Yeah. And like, and opinions too, your opinions on, say, Janae's opinion that, she talks about, not being in one box, and your opinion where it's kind of like, no, you pick a lane, and instead of,
well, I say that because you only progress once you do that. It's hard to go back and forth because you're not doing yourself any favors. A lot of people will be like, Robin, your voice is so good. How did that happen? I don't know, but I've been living this way for 15 years, and I'll know a lot of people that they're like John during the day, during the week, and then like Joanne on the weekend. And you're only hurting yourself in the long run. But it's so scary to step off the security of being John.
I would imagine.
To being Joanne. It's very scary stuff. And if you've never lived a life like that, you really don't have any room to say anything, because everybody handles things differently. But it's scary as hell looking through that, world, and looking back at you, and you're like, man, I don't know if I can do it. Is it going to be worth it? Because once the cat's out of the bag, it don't go back.
Right.
It don't go back.
Yeah. What was I gonna say? I wish that I would hope that anyone watching this could, like, at least gather that. You know what? I'm a big you know what I do is I always say I'm not going to change the world, but if I can make a little bit of difference, I'm going to keep pushing in the direction I do, and that's about, I have a lot of old school values. I have a lot of old school values, and things today are just very different. And I'll still sit here and dig my heels in and talk about old school, work, trust, honesty, loyalty, and whatever. And I'll just do my little part, even though I may never become famous for any of the things I say. And so that's the kind of stuff that I would like to think might happen from anyone watching, us and us talking today, is that people, that it doesn't have to be such a hateful thing, that you can sit and listen. You said that your doctor, you were talking about the points. Your doctor said that after a certain amount of time, after the surgery, that a certain amount of time, and all this kind of stuff. And that's something that I could look into if I wanted to. But that people can have opinions, then somebody can come back and defend their point of view from it. The point is just that people can have conversations about things, and it doesn't have to turn into something super hateful. I'm probably a little bit different to begin with, only because I believe opinions are opinions, and everyone's entitled to an opinion, but I don't have that, blind problem against all transgenders, that kind of thing. You know what I mean? I don't have this blanket hate for stuff. I'm a very accepting.
Some people do, though. They're like,
yeah, and that's what I'm saying.
They've been raised to hate people that ain't like them. It's almost like the racial thing, but it's transgender hate.
Yes.
Transphobia.
Yeah.
It's really sad. I'm a person. It's like, I play within the rules, and there's been a lot of tournaments that I'll show up, and they'll be like, I'm not allowed to compete in the men or the women. Or I would show up, they're like, yeah, you compete with the men. I'm like, well, I'm not going to do that because I'm afraid of myself get hurt nowadays.
Yeah.
But I'm like, hey, you know what? It's your event, your rules, and I'm fine. I'll move on, and I go where I'm welcome.
Right.
That's just.
And you know what? Any athlete's going to do that. If you've got a set of rules to play by, you're going to do them, or that's what you're going to abide by. You know what I mean?
Good,
so,
anyway.
Yeah. What else do you do? This?
Yeah.
This is the logo to my gym.
So why not? What do you do all the time? Stays on business cards, I guess.
Huh?
Hi, I'm Rita West, and this is what this is my gym or something. And the dudes would be like, it's up here. The logo's up here.
Yeah. I had a friend who so I owned another gym before this one, and it was the gym that I was a member of the gym for like 12 years. And it was where my whole powerlifting career happened, in that gym. And when it was going under, I bought it because I didn't want it to close, but I had a partner, and he was an ex-boyfriend. Well, he was a boyfriend at the time. And it just didn't work out. So at the end, things got pretty ugly. And so leaving that gym was this very, very hard thing for me. And so a friend of mine had sent this symbol to me, and she had said that, it reminded her of my situation, and it was like these lines that intertwine, and it reminded you that even if you can't see them, people are by your side, blah, 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 blah. And I liked it. So I made it the gym symbol.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. I actually, because I had made this symbol for my gym, it was Hercules inside the Superman diamond. And it was one that I gave to all my athletes. Never sold it. I never sold the logo. So I never put it on a shirt that I was going to sell. It was only to our athletes, because I had a lot of power lifters and and so I got this tattoo even after I left Hercules, because I had actually had a couple of my members that had asked permission to get the tattoo on them, and I'd let them. So I was like, well, this is where I came from, so I'll get it too still.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
That powerlifting world is quite an adventure, I bet.
Oh yeah, but so is the arm wrestling. Yeah, everyone has a very dedicated to their. You know what? To be honest, huh? Go ahead.
The arm wrestling community for me now, after all these years, is like going to family reunion. I look forward to seeing everybody as I do competing.
Yeah.
I bet it's that way with your community.
Do you have a definite plan of like when you would want to start or stop competing, or do you think you'll just keep going until you're like, nope, I'm done now?
Yeah, I got a plan. It consisted of March 3rd, I'm retiring, and then 2 weeks later, I'm semi-unretiring. So my plan was the Arnold Classic was my last tournament. I'm like, I'm done. I've had it,
Yeah.
I was like, I'm gonna go. I said to myself, I'm gonna go on. I'm gonna whip everybody's butt. I'm gonna win the damn medal. I'm gonna say see ya, and that's it. And it didn't really work out that way. I got 3rd place, and I said see you still, and I made it like a week and a half.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's tough because my mind really wants to keep competing, but my body's so broken down that I'm not able to train anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So I just show up, and whatever happens. And when you just show up, you're not going to beat everybody. You're not going to win. So I don't know. I'm coming to grips with just showing up because I think I'm enjoying meeting the people more than the competing. So the competing is kind of icing on the cake.
Yeah.
What about you?
Well, like I said, huh?
You're the great Rheta West. So what's it like to bow out gracefully when you're like, I mean, what would it must have been like for Arnold, right?
Yeah.
He found something else to go do. He went and did acting.
Yeah.
So, but competitive
still very happy.
always have to find that next thing.
Well, I mean, I did start the bodybuilding, so I have that to kind of keep me occupied, but I'm still very heavily the word just escaped me. I'm still very involved in the powerlifting. I have a powerlifting federation. I coach people. I go to meets. I'm going to a meet tomorrow. I'm heading out to Ohio for a women's meet in Cincinnati. That I have a couple of girls that are doing that meet, and I throw meets here at the gym. So I'm still very involved in it. My thing was always that I never wanted to just be that woman that squatted that lot of weight that one time. I wanted to be remembered for all that I gave to powerlifting. And so I'm still very involved in it. I don't lift. I still coach people though. So
I want to be remembered when I'm finally done and gone. And I'm just a memory. I want to be remembered to be like, Robin Chandler, she was that transgender woman, because that's always going to be with me, right? But I want him to say, even though she was transgender, she was always polite to everybody. She never caused a fuss, and it's always respectful.
Yeah.
People remember me for that. It's a win. It caused them.
Hell yeah. Yeah.
How about you?
Actually, because I'm getting to a point. I have a grandson, and I mean, I have given like every breath of every day to powerlifting for years and years and years now, and it's getting to a point where I kind of like just want to have a time. It's like, okay, it's this time of the day now. I'm done with all of that. I'm gonna go watch TV or something, and so my life is kind of slowing down a little bit, and eventually, so I own my gym. I own the building. At some point, what I envision, my daydream, is to just be done. One day, I'm just going to be like, well, I've done all that I really want to do, and I'm done. And I want to disappear into the desert. I want to move down south because I hate New York. I hate the cold.
Yeah, because you're a Southerner originally. You're not a real Yankee.
No, yeah. I'm lived in Texas. The longest I ever lived down, in one place was in Texas.
Can you tell I'm a Yankee by listening to me? I bet you can't.
Huh?
I bet you can't tell I'm a Yankee by listening to me.
No. But I think I don't want to legally change my name, but I would like to change my, like the name I tell people that my name is. I'm going to change it. And I just want to be some old lady sitting in some old jacked lady. I want to be still jacked, but I want to be some old jacked lady that nobody knows who I am. she's just this old jack lady that comes into the gym every day and does her thing. That's what I'll be. Because right now you can Google me and
jacked up grandma.
Yes. Yep.
I don't know. I'm conflicted because I like being strong, and I've lived like two worlds, right? So I lived, if I live to be 70, I've lived half my life as a man and half as a woman, right? So it gives you a unique perspective. But women aren't as strong as men, and I'm not as strong as I used to be.
Yeah.
Does that make me as weak as other women? I don't know, but I ain't as strong as I once was.
Yeah.
There's a Toby Keith song. It's like, I might not be as strong as I once was, but I'm once. Oh, shit. But anyway, it's something like that. I might not be as good as I once was, but I'm good once as I ever was. That's close to what it is, So. But I don't like dealing with the pain. So if I don't tell too many people this, but when I'm at the tournament, right, I might go 80, 85%, because if I go 100, I'm going to rip myself up, and I'm going to be 2 months healing, man. And it ain't worth it to me. And I think a lot of the girls get mad because they beat me, but I weren't trying to. I'm like, you know what? I've got a lot more losses than I ever do win. And at the end of the day, I got to live with myself. I don't want to rip my bicep off. I don't want to break my arm. That shit goes through my mind all the time, right? Because I don't, I know my bones aren't as strong as they used to be because I don't have testosterone in there strengthening my tendons. So, I mean, one day that if I try to go hard, is my bone's going to finally give me the finger and break? I don't know. It's scary shit for me. I'll tell you. I don't want to be hurt.
Yeah.
I've won a lot of shit, and I don't have anything to prove to myself.
Yeah. Yeah. What else do you do besides like when you're not driving? Is there anything else that you do? Do you have any other like hobbies, or do you just watch TV at home, or do you do anything?
I like to eat and watch TV.
Yeah.
So honestly, the arm wrestling is like my social life. So that's why I say, if I give it up, what am I going to do?
Yeah.
You can only sit home and watch TV so long.
Maybe you could be a judge.
I wish I would have known you then. I would have come over and said, hey.
Yeah. And I
stand out a little bit.
Where was the arm wrestling? Was it on the Rogue, or not Rogue, but the main stage?
It was on the main stage first day, and then the Rogue stage for the final.
See, and I was right next to the Rogue stage.
Oh, shit, really?
Yeah.
So close, but so far apart, huh? Yeah. Well, next year I'll know who you are, so I'll come get you. I'll say, hey.
Okay.
You can introduce me to all them big ass dudes that you know.
Okay, I know a lot of them too.
Not that it matters, because I don't like dudes, so I like women. That's another thing. People are like, why'd you transition to a woman if you like women? Why don't you ask a lesbian that? Why do they like? Because they just do.
Yeah.
It's the way it is.
Well, and I hope that sometimes, because I know I've asked Janae things like that, but I mean, like I said, she invited me to ask whatever I want, and I'm really super curious, and it's because I want to, like, I literally want to learn more, so I know I've asked her questions like that, but I know that some people can be stupid with their questions, and they're just, trying to like make fun of people or whatever. But I mean, I think that that's probably just a normal thing that runs through, like, okay, so I mean, and that's the first thing I thought of too, is like, well, the lesbians didn't didn't have to make some decision before they, why can't she be a lesbian or whatever? But yeah, I think that's just like a normal thought to go through your head, I guess, about changing. And well, you know what, okay, so if I can ask you anything, then when you say it like that, it makes me, the question that comes to my head is, what made you think, I mean, my son used to put on my heels. Okay, so what made you think, you said it's been since you were like 5 that you knew you should have been a girl. What made you, I mean, like, how did you know that?
My little sister's 9 months younger, so we're pretty much the same age. And I don't know what made me feel like it. I always was. I always felt like I should have been my sister. And I was trapped in this other life. I don't know. It's not like one thing triggered it. It was just like I always knew. But I also knew that I wasn't a woman because I got this other body.
Yeah.
kind of obvious.
Yeah. And I say interesting. When I say that's interesting, I don't mean, I don't mean that probably how it sounds. It just makes, when I say something's interesting, that means, okay, that makes me think, because I can't,
Oh,
of course, I of course can't even understand, it's just, you like ask a question and you hear someone talk and then it makes you realize things that you didn't even ask in the first place. So, well, I'm glad that you're happy. You're happy now, right?
Yeah, I'm happy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't date. I haven't dated anybody since the transition, so isn't that some irony?
Why not?
I don't know. I'm set in my ways, and I'm happy being by myself too.
Mm-hmm.
How about you? You got anybody? Or no?
No, I'm kind of similar. So I was talking to someone for a little bit that was like, um I'm extremely picky and I'm very, very busy, so for me, the pool of anyone that could even handle me right now is pretty small, just because I'm busy with the gym and my own training and a certain lifestyle, and with the muscle, it's not,
Yeah,
you'd be
and
surprised
that's
how
where I'm
many
at.
muscular. Yeah. So I just, it's easier for me to just kind of like, I'll go find someone to hang out with if I want, if I want some male attention or
Yeah,
something.
I kind of like having a best friend and go to the movies or something, or go to the
Yeah.
supper or whatever.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think that I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up. I'm so happy that you reached out to me, and I really enjoyed talking to you. I hope that we can stay in touch too. I mean, whether we
Oh,
could do
yeah.
another rambling, we could do this again on something else, or, just stay in touch in general. I know I've friended you on all the social medias, send you all kinds of
Yeah,
requests.
sorry, it took a minute. Well, I answered your Facebook request, but I logged out of Facebook like a month ago, and I didn't cancel it. But there's so much drama that I just don't
Yeah.
pay much mind. I like the Facebook Messenger for my friends and
Gotcha.
family.
I gotcha. Yeah. Okay.
I'm
Um,
like, shit, we are messing friends. I better respond to that right now. Yeah,
all right. Well, I
but
will.
I'm like you. I'm so employed and busy. I just don't have time.
Yeah. And Facebook, I don't know, I keep Facebook for, to be honest, if you look at my social media, it looks more like a commercial than anything else. I keep Facebook to stay in touch with local people. I have my Instagram that kind of has a wider reach, and depending on what I'm kind of like marketing or advertising, and everything kind of gears towards promoting the gym. Even the attention I bring to myself is kind of to bring, well, to the gym. And then I guess like my own influence that I want to have on the world, as far as trying to encourage people. That's actually the whole boss bitch thing is about, people not caring about other people's opinions and being and doing whatever you want to do, as long as you're willing to find out how to do it and put the work into getting it, so I kind of try to push that a lot too, because there's some weird people in the world today. I don't know. a lot of laziness and
Yeah,
a lack of respect, and
a
like
lot
a
of entitlement, Rita.
huh what
A lot of entitlement. People are very entitled now.
yes yeah
They're entitled. They think they deserve this or that.
yeah
So let me ask you one more question before we hang
yeah
up here. You have problems people thinking you being a muscular woman. I'm sure you must get mistaken for a guy sometimes.
yeah
People are rude to you, even though they might not tend to be. How do you handle that? I always wonder because when I get mistaken for a dude, it's almost like expected because I used to be one, right? But what about a woman that's born a woman like you? How do you take it?
Yeah. It really kind of depends on the situation. A lot of times, if it's an older person, I won't even correct them, just because I doubt they're being rude as much as they just don't know, and it's not necessary to embarrass them, or because like if I say something, they'll be embarrassed that they said it in front of me or whatever. And I'm not looking to do that to people either. If some people I'll just correct, they'll say sir or whatever, and I'll say it's ma'am, and they'll, oh, sorry.
That's how
um
I am. I just correct them. I don't cause a fuss about
yeah, no.
it. I
Every
used to get all twisted up about it, but
Mm,
I mean, that person that said it might have been an honest mistake. It may not have had any malice in it.
yeah. I Well, I actually started to realize that that it wasn't as like, because a lot of times you might think that, oh, people are just being hateful, but I have had children mistake me a couple times. And to be honest, I mean, children are the most honest creatures on the face of the earth, you know, and they aren't
Yeah.
saying it to be mean. And so I'm assuming that it's just that muscularity. They're like, okay, I know those muscles, that's a guy, you know, so is this a, you know what I mean? So it's just something
Yeah.
that is probably a lot more innocent, you know, and so I just try to whatever. I did have this one guy once, you know, because you, especially online, the only time it gets really bad, because to be honest, there are women out there that have a lot worse off than I do. I really don't get that many rude people. But I remember one time I had put out a picture, it was like close to a show, and so my chest was very striated and muscular, and I had put a picture on Facebook or whatever, and some guy said I looked like his uncle. And so I just responded, I said, well, I'm sorry your uncle has tits. You know, so I just try to
Your uncle's hot. Hell, your uncle's your aunt, your aunt's your uncle. Yeah.
So it's
I
just
had someone one time. They grabbed I used to be a bouncer at this bar, right?
okay.
And he grabbed my boob, right? He's like, "Wow, you got boobs. How did you get boobs?" I'm like, "I growed them like any other woman. How the hell you think I got the damn thing?" Yeah, I don't miss being a bouncer. Freaking drunk people and
Oh, drunk people,
not.
that's the
I don't
worst.
drink, no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, people, and I've had other women talk to me. I mean, a lot of the West muscular women. Another one was telling me a story about some guy that went up and grabbed her by the crotch or whatever. And that's just bullshit. That is someone who knows exactly
Yeah.
what they're doing, because whether you're male, female, whatever you are, that's not inappropriate the way to touch somebody. So that's just somebody who's like trying to be
That's awesome.
dominating.
That's a creeper.
Yeah. Yeah. But
Needs to get kicked in the head.
I think I'm beautiful. So I think you're beautiful.
I don't know. You know what? I could be a lot worse off than I am. At the end of the day, I realize that I'm 51, and I ain't in any beauty contest. I'm happy where my life is right now. Financially, I don't have to worry about where my next meal's coming from. I'm a lot better off than a lot of people, you know, so I ain't going to complain at all. And I'm glad I got a chance to talk with you. I always wondered what that world was like for women over in the bodybuilding, powerlifting world. I never really knew. I had some ideas, but, you know, I just always was curious. That's why I reached out to you.
It's a little different in powerlifting than bodybuilding too. So in powerlifting, you know, I think and I'm not really sure why the fans are different, you know. So I mean, I've always been a more muscular woman, but it wasn't until I went to bodybuilding that I started getting the like really weird fans, you know, the people that wanted to like see pictures of my feet and pictures of, you know, just
Oh, you got them people too? Because I had people that want to see my feet, my toes. I'm like, what? I am not showing you my feet. Man.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they never wanted to see it when I was a power lifter. I don't know why. So I don't know. There's just different fans.
Yeah. I never had anybody when I was living my other life wanted to see my feet. I can assure you that. So. Yeah. Yeah, we got to do this again sometime, Rheta, for sure.
All right. I had a lot of fun. Thank you very much,
Yeah.
Robin.
You're welcome.
All right.
All right.
And hey, if anybody has any questions, if you want to ask any questions of Robin or I, you can put them in the comments underneath the video. If you did you want to put your Instagram or anything like that out, Robin? No,
I don't do it.
no.
I have an Instagram, but I couldn't tell you how to get a hold of it.
Oh, okay.
I'm very 20th century. Sorry.
All right. Well, if you have any questions for Robin, you can let me know and I'll get a hold of her. If you want to message me.
Yeah, just go through Rheta.
If you want to message me, you can get a hold of me on Instagram at boss.bitch.x, or you can leave a comment down, like I said, again, below on the in the comments below the video. Go to bloodironbarbell.com and I will talk to you again soon. Bye.